Genghis Cohen in the heart of Hollywood. It's the Nighttime Show. Tonight we have our head writer, Matt Walker. I'm the voice of the Nighttime Show, Mike Black. And we have a very special guest, star of Highlander, over 35 feature films, 200 hours of television, and the upcoming film Summer Dance, Adrian Paul. And now our host, he's moved silently down through the centuries waiting for the quickening. There can be only one, Stephen Kramer Glickman!
Oh, yeah.
Very well done. Well done, sir.
Are you going to get it announced like that on KTLA? I don't think so.
How do you follow that?
We just wrap up. We just go, thank you for coming. It's over.
Yeah, I'm leaving now.
We'll take a few photos, and that'll be...
Yeah, I actually kind of do that on my radio show, because I have a radio show called Peace on Radio.
Oh,
but
awesome.
I don't quite kind of get that type of intro. I kind of do something stupid. But
The secret is cocaine.
God bless you.
Pharmaceutical grade cocaine.
Pharmaceutical grade.
We're that type of show.
Military grade cocaine. Right. They just airdrop it into your house every morning. Adrian, this is such an honor. It's so fucking cool. We're all big fans of you. So this is a big deal, man. It's great to have you.
I think
here.
he might actually be immortal because he looks the same to me as he did on all those episodes of Highlander. I'm like, he hasn't aged in 20 years.
Yeah, I do. I don't bounce as easily. Trust me.
Can't tell.
Like kids, they fall on the floor and they're like, I'm okay, I'm fine. I go on the floor and I'm like, I'm going to stay here for a couple of minutes.
I live on the floor now. That's what happens now when I drop something on the floor. I just go, that's where it stays. It lives there now. That's where that goes now.
I've been saying lately on stage that I'm at the age now where I talk about naps the way I used to talk about sex. I'm just so excited. I had a great nap yesterday.
The hottest nap ever.
As soon as I woke up, I was ready to nap again. You wouldn't believe.
Adrian, how do you stay in such good shape? What do you do? What are you doing with your life? What is happening?
Well, I don't smoke. I eat fairly healthy. I'm now back on a workout regime because I've got a pilot I'm doing in November where anyway, I'm not going to talk about it, but anyway, I'm doing that, and I've got 2 kids. I've got to run after them, so that keeps me fairly in shape.
Sure,
but I can't keep up with them.
How old are the kids?
5 and 7.
Ooh,
wow.
8. She's 8.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's
my
a lot.
5-year-old's like, Speedy Gonzalez. He just doesn't stop. He's just like the road runner. Beep beep, bang, smash.
Oh my God,
that's it. Yeah, no, he seriously picked up a sword when he was 2. Wow. 2.5. Actually, it wasn't a sword. It was actually a branch, and he stood in a sword pose. I'm like, where did you learn that? I didn't teach him anything.
I learned it by watching you.
No, he didn't see a thing. That was the weird thing. He'd never seen anything I'd done, and now he's into doing his swords. But he's also into soccer too. He's like,
do they know that they're father?
Yeah, they've seen it. Now he wants to watch it, but my wife's like, no, let's keep off the violent stuff on the TV.
He's already got a sword.
Well, because I have the sword experience now, which is where I take people on. I've done castles in Europe. I've done places in New Zealand, in different places, and I take people on a. I show them the choreography of a film they've seen in TV or on in the films, and then I teach them the choreography. I teach them the basics. I teach them some life lessons based on that and the choreography. I photograph them and I film them in a great location doing it.
That's awesome.
Outta here.
Yeah.
How do we sign up? I'm sold already.
I've got one in Los Angeles coming up actually on the 20th of October. Then I've got one in Rhode Island. I've got one in Baton Rouge, Chicago. I'm doing my corporate one in New York in the end of October, and I've got one in Atlanta.
What do I have to do to learn the sword fight from Rob Roy?
Know what the funny thing? Yeah, I mean, this is what's so fun about it. I've done a Star Wars fight. I've done I haven't done Rob Roy. I've done Game of Thrones. I've Dracula. I've done all of them. A lot of them, not all of them. Obviously, Highlander ones. Of course, people want to see that. But it's kind of fun because a lot of people are following it now, and I'm trying to create a space where I get martial artists and I get regular people and I get everybody kind of who's got an interest in some sort of cosplay or sword or martial arts or something to come to one spot and then from that point talk about all the different arts, etc. There's not a place that's done that yet. So we're gradually getting more people interested in all of this now and linking to different
It sounds
places
awesome.
across the country.
That really
That's-
sounds cool.
It's like because they have fantasy baseball camps for like people to go and they play with like these old major leaguers. This is like the sword fighting Hollywood version of that. I'm like, this sounds so
Well,
cool.
Do you provide the swords for them?
Yeah. Well, they're not swords; they're wooden. So that my insurance has a heart attack when I mention metal.
my God.
But I keep telling them metal is exactly the same as wood. I can still kill you with a wooden sword.
I believe it.
I'm
The
serious.
insurance guys love to hear that.
Yeah, no, I leave that part out most of the time. But one of the most interesting stories that I tell people about that is that there's a very famous Japanese swordsman called Miyamoto Musashi, who won over 52 fights, single-handed fights, and his last fight he met the best guy in the world. And it's all psychological. It had nothing to do with his strength and nothing to do with his skill. It was psychological. And he turned around and the best swordsman in Japan that he was going to meet, because he was a commoner, he wasn't a royalty, which is in Japan at the time, you could only fight with a katana. So he met this guy. They said, okay, you can fight him now. And they went to an island. And psychologically, he knew that there was a process, a ritual to take. So he turns up 4 hours late, trying to tick the guy off, which he did, and then turned up as another insult and shaped his sword or bokken at that particular and he made it out of an oar. So he shaped it out of an oar as another insult, and it was wood. And the smart thing he did, he made it about an inch or two longer than the other guy, knowing that the other guy had a very long sword. And he killed him with a wooden sword. So I'm basically trying to tell you that a wooden piece of wood is just the same. If I get your eye, your ear, any other extremity you've got, or I'm gonna hurt you, and I can crush you with it. So there is a certain amount of, this.
It's really not that impressive because I think I'd cry if I got a splinter. So it's not that hard.
The great thing is
Still.
I've never had anybody hurt. I've done hundreds of people so far.
Yeah.
In the sort of I've done it for a year and a half now. Wow. I've had hundreds of people go through it, and they might have hit a finger or something, but that's about it. Because I'm big on safety.
Yeah.
I'm big on protecting the person you're in front of. I'm big on communication between the people.
So is there like a website with details on this? Because I want to go check it out.
Yeah, theswordexperience.com.
Swordexperience.com.
It's real simple.
That sounds awesome.
Swordexperience.com.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I had no idea it was going to be that cool.
I would make a trip. I would make a trip
Yeah.
overseas to go somewhere really cool.
The one I
to
just
do it.
did in Europe, for instance, I did castles in Ireland, in Scotland, England, and France. Next year, I've got the southern France. I'm also looking at Hawaii because I'm trying to do experiences. In other words, you go for a few days and you hang out and you do some whale watching, or you do zip lining, and you do a sword experience, and you do yoga, and you do all these So I'm creating packages now to put people on.
Oh, that's very
So that's the
Is
next
so
one.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's kind of
awesome.
fun. It's kind of
You
fun.
know what would be perfect for that? New Zealand. With
I
all
just
the
came back from New
Lord of the
Zealand.
Rings
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
I actually
man.
came back from New Zealand. I did 2 in New Zealand this year.
Oh my
That's
God!
awesome.
What a life that you're living.
Yeah,
this is a fascinating
I'm gonna pick
life.
I want to go to Tahiti. Yep, that's where we go. We'll send the tour there.
I love
That's
it.
smart. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and why not? Yeah.
So,
So-
like pick a
and, like-
location. Like, are there any movies that have been filmed here?
Well, no, but you don't have to. Well, I did that. The last one I did, which was in Chantilly in France. It was the Castle Chantilly, which was huge. The horse stables alone had, I think it was 250 horses they would have. There was one of the biggest royal stables in Europe. And we shot Highlander inside. So I shot the exact same fight we shot Highlander 20 years ago in the same location that
Wow.
we did it 20 years ago. So that was kind of fun.
That's
Oh
incredible.
my God, that's amazing.
I
Now-
would imagine cosplay people like it's cool enough to look like a certain character and everything, but once you learn to fight like them, that would make it so much cooler.
Well, you know how to swing it. You're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I see so many people who swing with straight arms. Well, you never punch with a straight arm. You don't walk around with your straight arm up and down like this. You have to bend the elbow. The same thing with the sword. And so many people like to sort of hit with just their top arm. I'm like, okay, let's talk about coordination here. Your legs are connected to your top half.
Right.
And a lot of the time, it's amazing how something simple we overcomplicate.
Yeah.
Now, how did you learn all the sword fighting stuff? Because I assume you had some experience in that before you got Highlander, or did you just learn as you
About a
went along,
year
or?
before, to be totally honest. I started doing a little bit of sword work. I'd done some kickboxing. I'd worked out, and I'd done every single sport known to man. And then when I got Highlander, I started learning from a guy called Bob Anderson. Bob was the head of the Olympic fencing team for Britain for 30 years.
Wow.
Great man, fantastic man. He actually choreographed. He was the guy behind Darth Vader's mask in Star Wars. He did Lord of the Rings, Highlander, First Knight, Princess Bride. He did all of those.
Okay.
So he was very, fencing oriented, and I wanted to. And if you look at my style in the first year, it was very fencing. And then I went away and I started studying with my Shifu, my teacher, with Hung Gar and Asian martial arts. So I learned staff and bow and sword from the Asian martial arts. Then I learned.
It's a lot like what the character actually does.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, so you look at the style that I created because I learned all these different styles from different people afterward, and so you pick all of this up. You're doing 3 hours a day, 4 days a week, 5 days a week doing sword. You have to improve somewhat, over that
I would
time.
say so, yeah.
And I tell people, if you're good at something, don't sit on your butt. You've got to keep on practicing because there's going to be somebody else that's not so good, and they're going to practice every day, and they're going to get better than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, that's amazing.
So how did you get Highlander?
I'm trying. I'm really trying to be a better dancer. I'm not very good at it, but I'm working on it. Okay? Look, and you're the worst tap teacher I've ever had.
I'd love to see you two tap and dance.
Oh, and
So would I.
Him and I, we do a terrific
It's like Happy
shuffle
Feet.
ball change. You wouldn't believe the shuffle. The shuffle, it needs a little work, but the ball change, it's terrific. It's really great.
So how did the TV show come about? Because that was obviously sort of like the big break for you, would you say, in your career?
Yeah,
That show?
yeah.
How did that come about? Like, you've been acting before that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd done 2 series before that. I did War of the Worlds, and I'd done the Colbys, which was a spin-off from Dynasty, which is just being re-released
Redone,
right now. Highlander came. I'd done a bunch of stuff, and Highlander came along, and they interviewed me. I was the first person they ever interviewed for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and,
Oh,
I,
my
and,
God.
I, and I walked in, and I'm like, "Hey guys, you don't have to go anywhere else. I'm the guy you're looking for." And they're like, "Oh, you're a cocky motherfucker, aren't you?" It took another 3 months to go through process and through a reading, through an audition process, screen test, and eventually got down to 5 of us, and then got down to 2 of us, and then 3 weeks had gone by, and I'm sitting there going, my agent's like, by this point, they've given it to the other guy.
Yeah.
You haven't heard anything.
Right.
It's gone. I'm going on vacation. So he left, went on vacation. 2 days later, I get a call from his assistant saying, you got it, and you're leaving on Monday. This was like Thursday. I'm like,
And
really?
The
Like,
you
it took you this?
handle it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, and it took you this amount of time to figure this out. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm leaving Monday to start. And luckily, Christophe Lambert came in to shoot, so I got another week of prep. But,
Isn't that funny? They always say if ever you're not working in Hollywood, go on vacation.
yeah.
The second
Yeah,
that
second
you go on
do
vacation,
something, yeah,
something
or you book
happens.
another job.
Yeah.
You get to. I mean, for instance, the Highlander Con that came up. It's coming up here in 2 weeks' time. The minute I booked that, 2 other cons booked me, and I'm like, can't do it. Sorry, So
Wow.
and it's true. It is true, and jobs too. I get one job, and then somebody else books me. I haven't been working for 6 months. What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
Now, were you a fan of the movie at that point? Like, was it like a big movie that you liked, or? You
Yeah,
just
no,
sort of-
I loved the first movie, and I was actually in a casting office not far from here, actually, that had the Highlander 2 poster up.
Yeah.
the episode that nobody will admit
Yeah,
to.
it was-
Right.
And I was sitting there in front of it, and I looked at it, and I'm going to do something with that. I swear to God, I said that, and I looked at it, I said, I know I'm doing something with this.
That's very
And
cool.
sure enough, 6 months later, I'm starting a
Yeah, and
series.
if anybody listening has not seen Highlander, if you don't know what it is, basically, Adrian here plays an immortal named Duncan MacLeod, and basically every episode sort of follows the same formula where you see him modern day, he runs into another immortal person. They have a flashback. You see him like fighting in the Civil War, and then they come back to modern day, and you chop his head off with a sword, and then you get struck by lightning. And
That's a
kinda
really
how
that's a
it-
really stripped down version
And
of
it's
it. I'll
Signifying
we'll
that
take
And-
he got all of his
I will tell you
powers too, though. It's not
that
just
it
And
is-
then he would get all the guys' powers too.
I will tell you
that
this.
was part of it.
In the late 90s,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
the
part of it.
coolest show on television. I would go out of my way to watch it every week. Like, it came on at like midnight on Saturdays or whatever, and I was a loser, so I wasn't doing anything at midnight on Saturdays. And I watch it every single week, and I loved that show. Like, it was...
That's the most left-handed compliment you've ever given. Losers watched it, but it was the best show.
Yeah,
Well-
the funny thing is, and it went to 90 countries across the world, and the reason that happened was because it had so many different elements in it that different people from different cultures could identify
Yeah.
with. It was big in America, it was big in Russia. who says Russians and Americans are the same? They're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it had things like romance, it had history, it had fighting. So
Yeah.
the guys liked it for one thing, the girls liked it for another, the kids liked it for another. So it was, you know, it was really kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was a bad.
Was that your
remember-
real hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the first year, I had to grow it out, but yeah,
Okay.
I got my, yeah.
I remember in high school having a Highlander party because they did a marathon one day on USA where they showed like all the episodes.
Body.
And I was like, I invited my friends over who were nerds, but different types of nerds. They weren't sci-fi nerds. They were actual like reading and writing nerds. And they were like, what is this show? And I was like, and I kind of gave them just the bare bones like Matt
like
did.
that, yeah.
And they were like, that's not real. And I was like, well, we'll watch the movie and then we'll watch the show. And they watched it. And I thought, one of them has to walk. One of them has to like make an excuse to go home early. But the rest of them might stick around. They were like, flash forward to an hour and a half later, they're all just transfixed on the TV. They're just like, I can't believe this show exists. Why don't I know about this?
You know,
It was a
actually,
lot
the
of
funny
fun.
thing is, we called it the best kept secret in Hollywood. We never had advertising, we
Yeah.
never had anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, Highlander, I mean, they're redoing Highlander, the movie now. There's a new movie
Oh, really?
supposedly coming out. It's supposed to be a very big budget movie. The guy that did John Wick is directing it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
I did hear
And,
about that.
and so there's a lot of rumors about it going, and it's primed right now for
Yeah.
a remake because you've got so many the effects and the stories, and they're so different today.
Yeah.
And there's a new generation that never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the you know, jumping back and forth through time element, that's got to be, that must have been insane to shoot
Oh, it was
something
fun.
like that. That
You
must
kidding
have
me?
been
It's
so
fun.
much fun.
Well, think about
It's
it.
like a different period piece every episode.
Yeah.
And you're not doing a formulaic type of show like a cop show where you as an
Yeah.
actor are going in, solve the crime of the week.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Right.
And new characters coming in have the best parts because, you know, you're doing a show every week. Your character's changing a little bit because
Yeah.
I played an immortal that was 400 years old. So at some point he was more of a joker. Some point he was more of a drunkard. Some point he was more of a warrior. Some point he was more of a pacifist. So every week I'm going, okay, where is he today? You know,
Yeah.
what's he doing today?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, of course.
And that
Of
was
course.
the fun part of it.
Hey, man, this is such a fun podcast. You know who I'm missing though? I miss Mike Glazer. I wish Mike Glazer was around.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at that. There he is. He's coming in the door right now. Mike Glazer.
Hey, can I come up? Hey,
Hey,
holy cow.
whoa, Mike, what's been going on? How you doing?
I was in the desert and I saw an oasis or something. There was a huge bottle of Fireball, and so I just like dragged it back here.
Whoa, look how big that
That's
bottle
enormous.
of Fireball is.
Yeah, I feel like you could swim in it if you don't want to drink it.
Yeah, it's absolutely enormous, man. I mean, I can't believe that you found that out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's all have some of that Fireball whiskey.
Thank goodness.
Man, you know, Fireball whiskey, it makes everything better. Even
Even almost dying in the desert.
almost dying.
Yeah, but it was worth it. I mean, this is gonna taste great.
Yeah.
Yeah, cinnamon whiskey, it makes you feel good even when you're almost about to die in the desert.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the show. When you know, when you started filming that show, did you feel like at what point did you start to feel comfortable in the role? Like when did you start feeling like you were you're like on a roll, like you're going to be good, like this is going to be okay?
After midway the second season, I think, third season, purely and simply because, you know, the first season we were finding what worked and what didn't work, and the one thing I didn't want to happen was it to be let's catch the bad guy of the week, because that has really
Yeah.
you're not following that. You're following, as an audience member, you're following the characters, you're following the people, what their progression is, what their failures are, what their obstacles are. And so that's really what interested me. And we got a new writer in midway through the first season who started to do that. And the second season, it really started picking up. And other things like the Scottish accent that I had in the past. One of the producers came up to me after shooting 17 episodes saying, you got to drop the Scottish accent in the flashbacks. And I'm like, no. She went, what? Sorry? She said, I'm the producer. I said, to be honest with you, what do you want me to do? I've just done it for 17 episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and am I just supposed to? I'm going to talk to the head producer. So he called me, and in my moment of clarity, instead of like going, I'm not doing that stuff, I tried to do it without the accent. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is anymore. And I said that to the new producer. I said, new producer, the head producer, Bill Panzer. I said, look, Bill, I'll be honest. I've done it with and I've done it without the accent. I'll do it without, but I have no idea who the guy is anymore in the past, because if you want me to have a semi-British American accent, or American, or depending on what you want to call it, in the present or in the past, I don't know. I mean, does that work? He goes, no. Okay, after 1815, you can, when you come to America, you can change it. So I changed every flashback I did up until 1850. I made it a little less. And the funny thing was, about 3 weeks after this, they had this survey, and everybody was saying the flashbacks and the Scottish accent, we love it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know,
people love.
gotta
Yeah.
go.
You're vindicated. But,
But you know, the thing is, I wasn't doing it out of spite or being an act. I just really felt this is who he is. It's called the Highlander.
Yeah.
It's in
It
Scotland.
couldn't be more Scottish.
You know, you want me to start talking like this
Duncan.
in Scotland in 1853? You know,
yeah.
you know, I don't
right.
think that really would work. You know,
Yeah, that doesn't make that wouldn't make any sense. What about co-stars? What were the?
what about him?
What about them? What about? I mean,
who were some fun people to work with?
Oh gosh, Roger Daltrey from the Who.
Oh, man.
We worked with, and
Was that some of that's the first thing I remember seeing him in as an actor besides Tommy?
possibly?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure he did other stuff, and you know, he was a hoot. Roger and I got on very well, and
That
his
must have
show
been
was
exciting just to meet him. At
yeah,
first,
it was
you know.
fun because, like, you know, he's been in front of tens of thousands of people in concerts all over the world, and the Who's a major band since the 60s, I want to say,
Yeah.
70s.
Oh yeah,
You know,
easily.
and you know, it was fun, but you know, he was just Roger, you know, just Roger.
what about Stan?
Stan Kirsch.
Yeah, Stan.
He's
Kirsch.
actually an acting teacher here now in Los Angeles.
Really?
Again, not far from here. Yeah, he's an acting teacher, and he's doing very well. He's done very well as an acting teacher. And then there's Elizabeth Grayson, who's now
Oh,
doing.
yeah.
She
She
played
had
Amanda.
the spin-off show.
Yeah, she had the
Highlander
spin-off
the
show, which
Raven.
didn't do very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, she's a lovely girl, and so she's doing documentaries on different things, dance documentaries. And Peter Wingfield, who played Mythos in the series, went off and became a doctor, a real doctor.
Oh my god!
Oh, wow.
I had no idea.
Yeah, listen to this story. He was originally went through college and did all the exams to be a doctor. His parents had put him through that, and just before the finals, he's like, "No, I want to be an actor." And they're like, "Are you insane? Like, really? Like,
God.
what?" So right after, you know, Highlander finished, and then he started doing some more work, and eventually he's like, "You know what? I've still got a good 20, 25 years worth of work. Let me go back and be a doctor." So I think he's finishing his residency now in San Diego. So
Oh my
Unbelievable.
god! That's incredible.
yeah, so there's a lot of interesting
I can
stories.
imagine like walking into the exam room and you're like, oh, what are you doing? here? Like, it's
I'm
like a
feeling
thing.
something. I'm feeling. Are you immortal? Like he's not a gynecologist, but that's all I'm saying.
So,
Oh
what was
my
it like the
God.
first time you met Christopher Lambert?
Fun, actually. Yeah, fun. It was fun. You know, I mean, I'd watched the film and I'd loved it, and you know, it was like two kids, pretty much.
Oh, that's
I wanna say,
cool.
you know, he's you know, we're laughing and joking and playing, and within like a couple of days, so I realized he was just as much of a kid as I was. You know.
Nice.
Yeah. Now you grew up in London. Is that
Yeah, I
right?
grew up in London. Yeah, but I've been here for 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you go back? Do you go back at all? Do you go back
Yeah,
and visit?
yeah. I've
families?
just, you know, I mean, you know, as I said, I was in Europe this year. I have relatives in Italy, Hungary. My wife's family, my brother and my mother are in England. My other brother and his family are in Thailand. So whenever I go anywhere, it's not really a vacation. It's good to go and see, you know, family and stuff.
See
It's,
family, yeah.
Yeah.
it's a little tough. Like, no, I can't see. I'm here, but I'm not seeing you because I'm having a vacation.
Now, when
That
you
would go down really well.
you mentioned you went to Scotland as part of your tour last year.
Mhm.
When you go to Scotland, do they have a big affinity for the characters from that because they were Scottish? Like, is that a thing they sort of latched
you know,
onto
the
there?
Scottish are funny. They want that. I don't want to say whine. They complain about nothing going there. When something does go there, they don't attend it. So, it's a really weird. My best attendances were France and Ireland, funnily enough, and England. Scotland wasn't as well attended as my other events were. Maybe that's publicity. I don't know, but you know, they do have that. They love the Highlands. They love the Highlander, but you know, it's like, hey, this is a Scottish thing. You're not Scottish. You're English. You know. And
Sounds just
you
like
know,
my cousin.
You live in America. You know.
So I have cousins from Scotland, and I just went as a family reunion like a month ago. I went there. They've been here for 45 years because they were my dad's cousins. They still I
sound like
I
that.
can't understand them. I talked to him for 10 minutes. I'm like, I got like 3 words they said. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I know. They do tend to have a very... Depends where you go, because Edinburgh has a very English... It's a very soft accent. You know, it talks like...
Yeah, they're from
this.
Glasgow.
But then from Glasgow, you're talking like
Yeah.
and then they got all this thing like this and that, and it's really... I can't even do it, but it's really harsh. You know?
Yeah.
You can't understand them.
Now, what kind of sword... do you have a sword collection? Do you have a weapons collection at home?
I have a couple of swords. You
Yeah.
know, I have one of the Highlander swords that was given to me on the very last night of the last show, which was made out of pewter. The actual hand was made out of pewter.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And I've got a couple of other swords, but I have a lot of bokens now because the sword experience actually,
Yeah.
we do bokens, and I have a design of my own boken, which is, you know, it's not a cheap boken. I mean, I have my range now is coming between like 90 to 320 bucks for one of these because they're handmade, handcrafted, you know, and it takes a lot to actually make one. So I have a collection of those as well. So I have some, but got to keep them away from the kids.
Do you sign a lot of swords? Do people ask
Yeah.
you to sign swords?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I've
I'm
signed
sure
quite a
it's got to be.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well,
that's
pull it
good.
out, Stephen.
But-
All right. Well,
Obviously.
listen. I've got this.
Yeah,
sword I
easy,
need.
Steve, not that.
Do you sign a lot of,
Thank you. That interview is now finalized. Thank you.
do you sign a lot of decapitated heads?
Yes.
I've signed a lot of strange things. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
I even signed a girl's arm that she would then go and tattoo it on her.
wow.
So she'd her celebrities. She's got names of celebrities have signed her arm, and she's gone and tattooed it.
Were there any strange celebrities on that arm? Like, did you see any names you're like, oh,
There's
wow.
every celebrity on that
Like
arm.
Bill
They're
Paxton.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke. What's he doing?
It's Bill Paxton on this girl's arm.
Buster Keaton. Yeah.
Yeah. How old is this girl?
This girl is old. That's amazing. Like I mean, you can't even say like when Highlander ended because Highlander didn't.
It never
end.
really ended.
It continued.
Like-
It continued movie after movie, and there's no like. Do you feel like would you continue doing the character? Like, do you? How do
Would
you
Duncan
feel?
MacLeod make a return?
Would you make a return?
If
Yeah,
in this,
you know,
reboot, maybe.
it would be fun. It would be fun to do something. I mean, now it's a whole different era and time. I mean, if they came back, yeah, I kind of do. It's always fun to revisit things, you know, that you haven't done in so long. You know, it's been 15 years now because I did the 2 last films. One with Christopher where I chopped his head off, and then
Yeah.
the one
I saw
after
that.
the one after that. Yeah, it's been a while, so it'd be kind of fun.
That would be amazing. That would I would love that. But you've also worked on a lot of other stuff besides the Highlander. Can we
Yeah.
talk about some of those?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
we have some limited time today. But let's see. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
He's
to
got
talk
my
about.
he's got my
sure.
IMDb.
I do.
page
I've
I've got
up there.
IMDb up here.
While you're looking at that, I'll tell a quick story.
Okay.
You spoke of the movie where you chopped Christopher Lambert's head off. That won me a case of Guinness because me and my friend watched it.
Oh, you had a
and-
bet over who's
and
gonna
we
win?
bet
Who's
over-
gonna-
Yeah.
I was like, I'm positive it's Adrian Paul. He's just got more experience. and he was like, no, he was the first Highlander. I was like, we'll see. Case of Guinness.
Yeah, he
We'll
won the
see.
tournament before they explained there were aliens and whatever they did
Right,
in
yeah.
Highlander 2, which I choose to not remember.
Exactly.
But a lot of people do, and actually the producers will tell you that it never existed. Yeah. That film was not in existence.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the first one was, I mean, with the soundtrack by Queen and
that
everything,
was-
it was just
man,
so...
They were only supposed to do
So
one
great.
song, and they saw the film. They said, "No, we're doing an album." So that
oh
album,
my God, that's amazing.
that album came out of Highlander.
They
Yeah,
did
'cause-
a cover of New York for it that still hasn't
Yeah.
been released that people want, and
Yeah, because they did...
It was a
I
great,
mean, the 2 big
yeah.
movies I remember they did the soundtracks for was Highlander and they did Flash Gordon. Were like, because
Did they do
I
Flash
remember as a kid watching Flash Gordon, it was Queen
Flash.
doing all that.
Defender of the universe.
Yeah.
That's how it goes,
That's
Stephen.
my
Yep.
Queen impression.
I'm looking at you astounded at the moment. Okay, cut.
Okay, Love Potion number 9.
Oh, with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
one of
there you
that
go.
was one of her first movies. Actually, and it was one of my early ones as well, very early.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I played an Italian, which is not far from the truth because I'm half Italian. So that was a lot of. We shot that in Atlanta, And
wow.
you know, it was one of. She actually owes me a necklace because she bumped into me and smashed me into the wall and broke my necklace. But I'm gonna, if I see her again, I'm gonna go. There's interest on that. You know? It's now a diamond necklace.
Yeah.
It's now a necklace that has an Oscar attached to it. How about that?
Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, the other one I really liked was kind of The Breed, which was a vampire movie.
Oh, that was a great movie. I loved
Kind of
that.
fun. It was a take on the vampires of I played a 1940s vampire cop who's trying to keep the vampires from going nuts and all this stuff and trying to keep them safe. But I actually had a bad injury on that set. I landed on my head backwards.
Ooh, wow. Oh my God!
Yeah,
what?
I choreographed a lot of the fight scenes in that, and when we were in Hungary, I wanted to do some wire work where I did a back handspring and then I rose in the air, flying, shooting guns, and I said, "Look, we need wire work to do some of that. Do you do it?" And they're like, "Oh yes, we have done wire work." And I'm like, "All right, so let me see what you've done." And I went to their gym, and I saw the equipment, I saw the stuff, and I saw my stunt double, who was a rugby player, bigger than I was, in the wire, doing the movement that I wanted, and he was being pulled by 3 or 4 guys. And I'm looking at him going, if I flip backwards too fast, I'm going to over-rotate. So they've done these things 3 times. I said, okay, your turn. So they put the stuff in my the harness on, and the stunt coordinator is standing right in front of me. And he says, we go on 3. And I said, yeah, okay, on 3. Okay, right. So I'm getting ready. And he says something in Hungarian, which I don't speak Hungarian. So he said something. And I go backwards, and the guys behind me don't pull because he told them I can do a back handspring, so don't pull me. So I went straight back on my head.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that was not pleasant.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but that was after going straight forward on my head 4 years before on Highlander. So I've had a couple of neck injuries.
Oh yeah,
but I'm fine.
What happened? Like, so you're making the movie, and then that happens. Like, is there a break in shooting for a month?
No, actually, I had to go to.
You just have to work through a concussion, or
the first time I did it, they took me and did MRIs and all that stuff, and I stupidly, being younger and like I can do anything type of attitude, I was going to Cannes to do the TV and film festival, and I was in a tuxedo and all that, and I'm like, I'm not walking around in a tuxedo with a neck brace on. Forget it. So I took the neck brace off. And I'm forgetting, I go to the club later that night, and my neck's going backwards and forwards. And for a year, I'm in pain because you're supposed to immobilize the neck when you have any injury to it. So the next time I did it, when going backwards, they put me in a neck brace. I did not take that neck brace off for 10 days. I slept with it. I went anywhere with it. If I had to shoot a scene, I would take it off before and put it back on when I finished. And it really made a huge difference between that. So... they want you to keep working. Producers we're wasting money here. Come back. I had my head split open here. I had 3 stitches, and the producer. This was on Highlander, and the producer comes to the hospital with me, and they stitch me up. And the guy looks at me, and goes, "So what time can we get back to set?" Wow.
Holy shit!
Really? Like, okay.
Oh my God!
And my eye split open another time when I was directing one of the Highlander episodes. And see, this is the thing I teach when I do the sword experience. A lot of the time, you can't. Know what's around you, like this light backlit. So I'm slightly wherever they put the lighting, or the floor's different, from when you rehearse. In this particular instance, there was a light right behind the performer, and when he did a move that I went to get, I missed it and went for it again. But by that time, he'd gone on to the second move and just cracked me right across the face.
Oh my God!
And so it split my eye wide open. So it was in one of the episodes that I was doing. It was actually the one where we did for Lord Byron, which was. I can't remember what the episode it was now.
Yeah.
But if you look on that episode, I'm doing the rest of the fight, because I had to continue. I had to go back. I had 3 stitches put in the side of my eye with no anesthesia, because otherwise it would swell up.
Oh. Yeah.
So I had to go. So I had to go, and I'm looking just from one side of my face all the time, cheating that side, so they couldn't see the stitches in my face.
Oh my God! Now, when did you start directing on the show?
Season 4. I did Homeland, which was the first episode. Was it season 3? No, season 3. Homeland was season 3. It was the first one. I actually went up to Scotland to do the exterior shots for the title sequences, and I said, why don't we do some of the entrances for Homeland, because we're there. So we did the beginning and ends of scenes, and if you look at it, you would think you were in Scotland the entire episode, which we weren't. We were partly mainly in Vancouver.
Wow.
But you could tell if you looked at the horses and the shrubbery that were slightly different. You know?
How did you But how did you make that transition? Like, had you directed before, or did you just kind of go like,
no,
I'm going to direct this?
No,
show
but
now?
I watched. I'm a big study. I do a lot of research whenever I do anything. So I studied a lot of the different directors that came in. You know how they moved the camera, what they did. You know what. So for 3 years I've been doing that. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to direct now. And I had, I'm playing Duncan MacLeod. I knew the show. And I wanted to do it. And they said, okay, fine, we'll let you do it. And I did one, they liked it. And I did 4 more. So, after that.
Wow.
So I did
That's amazing.
did 4 of the shows.
That's incredible. Also, you did Dark Shadows, the TV show.
Yeah. That was right between when the Gulf War was on. So it didn't do very well because everybody was watching the Gulf War. But it was a good, that was fun. I did it, there's actually a couple of actors, big actors today in that series.
Yeah.
That was again another vampire. The only 2 vampire things I've done. You've mentioned it. It's kind of funny.
I know.
He likes vampires.
Well, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was.
Yeah, that's right. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah,
was in Dark Shadows too. Yeah.
So
that's pretty incredible.
He was a young boy at the time.
And that was a redo of a show from like the 60s.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
It was the original. And then they did the film
Which
with
was
Johnny
bad.
Depp, which
Yeah.
didn't do very well.
Can I tell you my favorite credit on IMDb? This is one of my favorites. It's I'm going to read you the plot. You tell me if you know what movie it is. Okay, you were in it. I'm going to read it.
Oh, that
You've been in
helps.
a lot of movies, but I'm going to read you this one. You tell me if you know. A federal agent investigates. You know it.
Yeah.
Iborgs. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
A federal agent investigates when inconsistencies turn up in the photographic evidence of several murders recorded by mobile robotic cameras. Iborgs.
I mean, that was brought out because of all the different.
Come on.
all the cameras that are out today. I mean,
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
done
yeah.
in 2007, 2008, I think.
I love
It's
that.
ahead of
And-
its time.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And the visual effects they did on it were very good, considering they had a very low budget. It was a very low budget film.
Yeah, but I love. What's one of my favorite things in the world though is like finding like weird stuff that people have done, in their career. Because
You can find loads on me.
oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we've
Well,
all
you mentioned-
Weird stuff I've done.
You mentioned Golden Girls too, didn't you?
No, but
no.
I know Betty White. Actually,
Oh, okay.
Do you really?
well, yeah, she on social media. She actually tweeted me. She said, "I love you," and I'm like, "Really?"
That's
Do you know what her?
awesome.
Do you know what her?
What?
Do you know what her tweet name is?
No.
Betty fucking White.
Get out of
I'm
here.
not joking.
Oh,
I'm not joking, but it's
my
like asterisk,
God.
asterisk. That's what's on her tweet. If you look it up.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna
Look it up.
I will look it up.
Is
She
it,
tweeted me, and
is
I'm
it a
like, is
verified
this the real
profile?
one? Is this a real one?
You can check. Does it have a blue check mark?
I'm gonna look it up right now. Betty fucking White.
Yeah, I had that.
What
with
is what is your Twitter? So or
Adrian
if you
Paul
want-
1.
Yeah, I was like, if you want people to know, if you don't,
Yeah,
like-
Adrian Paul 1. Yeah,
Is there some other Adrian Paul? who
Yeah,
took the first one?
there
Yeah.
was. Somebody took Adrian Paul. They want me to buy it. I'm like, no, I'm not buying it from you. Adrian Paul 1's fine, and you're not going to get anything out of that anyway.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love
You
it.
know.
Amazing.
I had the same thing with. Do you know who Natasha Kinski is?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Natasha, I was doing a film called. God, now I've forgotten what it is now. Oh God, what was it? It's way back in '96, I think, '95. No, she's got to have. No, that's the other one. I forgot the name of the film. Anyway, Natasha comes up to me and says, my friend Elizabeth and me, we love your show. And I'm like, oh, thank you very much. That's really nice of you. Oh, I want to get you on the phone with her at some point. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's like, okay, well, that's good. Yeah, sure. So 4 days later, I'm in a hospital because I'm a patient in a hospital room. It was shot by John Landis. And a lot of good actors were in it.
Oh, sure.
I'm sitting in the hospital room. I'm wired up to IVs and stuff. And in walks Natasha, and she goes, I've got Elizabeth on the phone. She goes, Elizabeth. And I go, oh, okay, hi, hello? She goes, hello, Adrian. This is Elizabeth Taylor here. I'm like, pardon? Excuse me?
What?
Yeah, seriously. She goes, we love you. I love your stuff. And I'm like, and John Landis goes, Adrian, we got to do this. I'm like, now cover the phone. John, I've got an icon on the phone here. Leave me alone for a minute.
I'm talking to Cleopatra.
She
Give me a
must
minute.
bring Natasha over sometime. We'll have barbecue. And I'm like, yeah. No, I never did, but that was.
God,
I haven't told that story. Bro.
Amazing.
Yeah, it
You
was
could've-
really funny.
You could have
go
been
ahead and
husband.
fire me. It's
Yeah, fire me now. It's fine, right?
You could have been husband number 12. 13 or whatever.
You
it
could
was.
have been.
Yeah, could have been. Couldn't it?
What could
My
have
favorite
been.
moment ever, the end of the Oscars when they had her close it out, and she just goes, "That's it? We're done? Okay." And then she walks off stage. Fantastic.
I love it. It's so amazing. That's amazing. Do you have you ever done like live theater? Are you a live theater guy?
Yeah, I the trouble was when I first came here, they wouldn't let me do it because I wasn't an American citizen. I was a green card holder, so they had to have a green. The American equity wouldn't allow me to work unless there was a reciprocal agreement with English equity. So I did a few plays, not very many over the years, but I really loved theater. I love doing it, but it's kind of harder now with kids. It doesn't pay that well.
Did you do Tennessee Williams? Was that one of
Yeah.
That was one of them.
Yeah.
I'd read something about that. What was it? What play? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I did burn this at one point, but I did.
I love Burn This.
Burn
You
This
did Burn This?
Yeah, but I did that mainly in classes. I did part of the playing in class.
That's what? Who was that?
That was
That's somebody else.
yeah.
That's
Now you got me. Now you got me.
Lanford Wilson.
Yes,
Lanford
yes,
Wilson.
Yes.
Is that?
yes.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, I think it was Lanford Wilson. Yeah,
Theater nerd.
but I did Bouncers, which was
Such a theater nerd.
which was a movie a theatre play that did very well in England. We took it to New York, and it did very well here. I replaced one of the cast members here, and it was basically playing like 13 different characters throughout the night. Guys going to a club, the girls turning up at the club, the guys turning up at the club, the porno movies that the bouncers would watch after the movie. It was a whole story about, it was fun to do because you got like all these characters you're trying to play.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
Is it like a one-man show kind of thing?
It was
or?
four guys playing all these different
wow.
characters, all the characters in a club. at night.
That's amazing. Well, we do have to wrap up soon because you have to get over.
Yeah,
to...
because I've got this. Well, that's the other thing we haven't talked about, which is my
Yes,
peace
please.
fund, which is
Yes.
Please, let's talk about
yeah,
that.
but that's just the thing I've done for 20 years. It's my charity called Peace, Protect, Educate, Aid Children Every Day. And, we basically have done things in a lot of different countries, the U.S., El Salvador, Cambodia, Thailand, Haiti, Romania, Hungary. We've focused on a lot of different things. Now we really focus on education, because protecting a kid has to educate people what they should do in protecting them. You have to educate them in different factors. You have to educate them to get a job. You have to educate them in how to live their life healthy, how to find places where they get the right medicines. So education is kind of really our target. So we actually started a thing called the Interactive Storytelling Program here in Los Angeles, where I get celebrities to come in, and they will be the narrators of the books that we give them, and the kids have to act out the characters in the books.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah, so they and it's great because you watch these kids going from I want to be Captain Hook, I want to be Alice, I want to be and they come out of their shells, so they're much more likely to go and read the book at the end of the day. So,
what's the name of the project?
that's the Peace Fund's Interactive Storytelling Program.
I love it. That's
And
amazing.
This weekend we've got our Peace Fund poker event that we hold annually, and I've got about 40-50 celebs turning up, and some of them are going to be doing the interactive storytelling program because it's going to be targeted towards the kids, the hurricane kids, the kids in Florida, and I mean there's 8 million kids displaced in education right now across the country. That goes from Alabama to Georgia, Dallas, Texas, Florida, obviously not Costa Rica,
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, thank you. And so we want to do something, even if it might not be as big as we could like to do. But we'd like to do something to send books or support of some sort to the kids out there, because education really is something that needs to be addressed, because so many times today we don't have the government funding for education. We don't have the books, we don't have the music programs, the sports programs, all those types of programs that are needed for our kids. And if you look at the prison system in America alone, it's about 90% of the people in the federal system don't read and write.
Yeah.
So they got out of school. They didn't want to be in school. They weren't interested. Somebody didn't support them, whatever. And what do? They have to turn a crime one way or another.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to change that
They're
somehow.
attacking at the source of the
That's
problem.
really what it is. It has to be that education. So this weekend we really, we're
So
pushing
where's
toward-
the poker tournament?
It's at the Microsoft facility in Playa del Rey. It's open to the public. You can come and watch if you want. There is a fee, of course, a donation to the charity. But even if you can't make it, we have something. When you do a marathon and you say, "Can you sponsor me for like $10 a mile, whatever?" We have that for all the players. So in other words, you can go online. You can look and see which player you'd like to support. You donate $10, $20, $100, whatever you want to donate. And that actually allows the player to get a few chips on the table as well as helping the kids to get stuff for the kids. So it's a 2-in-1 type of... And so you can watch the celebrity go through it. We'll have live tweeting all the way through it. So
And where do people go to find information about
it'll
that
be
tournament?
peacefunpoker.org.
Peacefunpoker.org.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Before, just as we're about to wrap up, is there anything in this industry? I mean, you've been working for a long time, but is there anything in this industry that you haven't done yet that you've always wanted to do?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's loads of stuff. I mean, some of the... I'd love to be in some larger films. That would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all about, timing sometimes and who you know and is this the right time for your life to do this? Is this, and sometimes I find in life, you say, I'm going to be this. This is my dream. And I'm like, no, I don't think your dream's ever going to come true because you've got to make decisions along the way.
Sure.
You've got to make a choice. Do you pay the rent? Or do you starve? So you paid the rent. So that meant you went on this path. That brought you this choice over here, which was, okay, now I've paid the rent. Now I can do a soap actor. And so eventually you might end up being a star or you might end up being famous, but it might be in a totally different direction than you ever thought you were going to do.
Right.
And to be honest, fame doesn't really last.
Right.
I want to tell you one other story about that.
Please.
There's a very famous musician had a concert last year, I believe it was, and he it was either Common or Kanye or one of them. So it was a R&B rap concert, and at the end of it, a lot of the fans were like, "Oh, that was an amazing concert. That was so cool, etc." And they looked at the guy at the piano, this old guy, and they said, that old guy on the piano is going to be really famous one day. Well, that old guy on the piano was Paul McCartney.
I think it was Kanye.
From Kanye West.
The biggest, bands in the world, and today kids don't know who he is.
Yeah.
So
That's Sir Paul McCartney?
Yeah, and so it's not about your fame.
Oh yeah, and
It's
people
about what you do here. It's about who you affect. That's your legacy. That's your job here. That's what
Absolutely.
I believe anyway.
I think that's a great
So
place.
will there be another sequel? Will we get to see Love Potion number 10? Everyone wants to know.
That's the main
That's-
question.
That'd be really weird. That would be like, hi, Sandra.
Well, Matt, we could have ended on a great message.
But you decided to take it right down there.
All right, look, how about we do this? Let's combine.
Had to go for the joke.
Look, we combine Highlander and Love Potion number 9, and you just end up
Chopping Sandra Bullock's head off.
That's not. I wasn't gonna say that, Mike.
That's
what's the
why I'm
matter
here.
with you?
That's Highlander number 10, which is almost there now, right?
Yeah,
I've done
almost there,
5,
All right. Well, how can are you on Twitter and places like that?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that.
What's
So
your social media for people?
Adrian Paul 1 is my Twitter, and then Adrian Paul Official is my Facebook, and Adrian Paul, I think Official again, is Instagram as well. So
Well,
Follow me on
this
all that.
this will
they're
air.
all connected anyway,
This will air tomorrow, so
fabulous.
we'll be
When?
we'll tag you in it. And,
What did you say?
Next week. Yeah.
Not
Say it
tom-
like an American.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Thank you, Canadian.
It's going to be a place tomorrow, yeah,
I'm
man.
Canadian, so I say
Oh.
tomorrow. He gives me crap for it every day because I see him every day. So I always go, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow." And he goes, "What day
was that? Yeah.
What was that? What'd you say?" Every damn
Tomorrow.
day. Mike, where can people find you?
At Mike Black Attack on all social media.
It is a terrific thing. I love looking at your social media. It helps me know when the new Paul Reiser action figure is coming out.
Yes,
That's
just
exactly right.
the nerdiest things you could possibly imagine are on at Mike Black Attack Instagram.
If you like
Absolutely.
He-Man, you should follow Mike Black Attack.
absolutely.
You know, the funny thing is, a lot of people say to me, they're like, So what do you think about all these nerds that go to conventions? I'm like, whoa, back up a little bit. Those nerds now are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
The studios are going there to watch. That's what it's all about today. There's no more like, and what's any different between somebody going to a con dressed up in cosplay to the guys going to football matches painting themselves blue, green, and white?
Absolutely.
What's the difference?
It's the same.
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
You just have a different like.
Yeah.
So
Celebrating your fandom. That's what's important.
Yeah.
What about Mike? Matt, where can people find you?
You can find links to everything at funnymatt.com, or if you would like to tell me you think Highlander 2 is an excellent movie, you can do that at mattwalkersucks.com.
You can always get me at Stephen Glickman, STPHEN, Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast. Leave comments, share. And I got to tell you, Adrian, it's such an honor to have you on the show. I'm a huge fan of you.
Thanks,
We're
man.
all big fans, as you can tell.
Thanks.
Hopefully next time you'll sign my sword, and I'll bring it. We'll get it signed. Thanks, buddy. Thanks again.
man. Yeah.
Stand up in front of a fireball. Stephen Glickman about to rock us all. Nighttime show is why we all are here. Sit back, shut up, grab yourself a beer. Robbie is so funny, Matt Walker is the best. Watch the singing show, then they're on the gas. Nighttime show, the fucking nighttime show.